Welcome to my show, going from thousands to millions. I'm really, really excited today to have someone that, not only I've looked up to for a very long time, but also someone that has had a lot to do with my passion for cars, especially Ferraris, and has really opened my eyes when it comes to not only Ferrari, but also the Ferrari family and what it brings to you as an individual. So that said, I want to introduce Herbert Appleroth. Thank you for coming on the show, mate. It's really lovely to have you.
Hey, Sam, mate. Mate, I wish I was next to you. Unfortunately, obviously, the current situation, 1,000 kilometres away, is just about as good as we can get. But, mate, really good to see you.
Thank you. Mate, look, what I wanted to start with was really basically to introduce you to my audience and get to know you. We've been friends for a number of years, even though we've been friends for such a long time, I haven't really sat there and asked you a lot of questions, right? That said, ex-CEO of Ferrari, how did you start? So what I really want to know is, let's go back to your childhood. Where did you grow up? We went to high school, and then from high school, how did it all go from there?
Oh, well, I think, mate, my passion for cars, and I suppose the industry that I've been a part of for over 20 years, it probably started in my genes. My mum and my dad were, and even my grandfather and my great-grandfather were all crazy car guys. My mum's a crazy car. She's actually just had she just worked it out. She's had 7 Maseratis, and I've just managed to change it from a Maserati into an Alfa Stelvio Quadrifoglio, and I won't tell you how old she is, but she's well into her 70s. So she's got a bright red Alfa. So it all started from in the genes. And if I think back, I was that boy that had his entire bedroom covered in posters of cars, all brands, all the iconic supercars of the time, the Porsche 959 and Testarossa and F40 and Lambo and what have you. So I was, instead of having kind of centrefolds of girls or what have you that other boys may have had, as a young boy, I always had my entire room, every wall covered in pictures of cars. Like in those days, I'm a bit older than you. You probably don't remember, but Wheels magazine and Modern Motor used to have the centre lift out was always the hero car of the month. Yeah. And so that was me. I mean, I still remember getting my pocket money and riding to the local news agency, which you probably couldn't even do these days. For parents, life is so different. If you think kids are so constrained. I remember hopping on my bike as a 5 or 6 year old. Early writing to the local newsagent and being there to help the local newsagent owner open up the latest magazine, the big bundle of magazines at his front doorstep, so I could take out the freshest copy of Wheels magazine or Motor or whatever it was, and and then essentially take it home and read it cover to cover. So yeah, it's been as I said, it's in my genes. That's and it hasn't stopped now. I mean, I don't read as much obviously about cars. I remember I used to know every statistic, everything about every car. And yeah, that's where it all started.
So tell me, so you've always obviously had that passion for cars, like most young boys and girls, these days have. I remember, like for me, coming from Iran, my dad was a massive BMW and Mercedes fan, and and he always used to have the latest Mercedes and latest BMWs. And I remember I used to live in an apartment. I used to stand by the window and watch him come home and bring the car home, and I used to just run downstairs to the garage. Yeah. And I used to sit on his lap, and I used to beg him to turn the car off and let me start the car again. And that was such a special moment for me as a kid. And I can't believe I actually remember it. I just actually remembered it in my head as I said that story. So, I totally get where you're coming from when it comes to cars and how passionate it can be.
I just, as you were talking about that, then you were talking about waiting for your dad to come home. So my mum, they had various cars, and Dad was a mad Jag collector. And so remember the old XJSs and XJ6s, and I remember like with a lot of love but frustration. I remember waking up in the morning, every second morning, my dad trying to start up his Jag and the thing not starting, and him bloody screaming at the car or whatever. So there's always been that love-hate relationship. And actually, I remember I opened the Ferrari North Shore showroom the end of 2018. And the original home for Ferrari in Australia was actually on the North Shore of Sydney. Obviously, Melbourne had a big following as well, obviously with Lance Dixon and various dealers before that. But I remember being, again, a really young kid and hopping up. I told this in my speech at the opening of this dealership, that I remember hopping on a train as a really young kid. Like you just wouldn't, your parents wouldn't allow you to do it now. But I would have been 7.
Oh, wow.
And hopping on the train to go from where I lived to a suburb on the North Shore called Lindfield, and for the only purpose of that's where the Ferrari dealership was. And all I did was used to press my nose up against that window, that showroom window, up against the glass, and just look inside and dream of Ferrari. I mean, I dreamt of all cars, but that was just one that I love Porsches. I love all sorts of cars.
Yeah.
And I had exposure through my parents. But I remember, like, from a very young age, and then like, I'm just actually, as you're talking, it's got all these things that are starting to come back. You don't really think about it very much. But I remember hearing my first Ferrari being given an absolute bootful. I was playing golf with my dad. I would have been 12, playing at Motorvale Golf Course, and we just walked up onto the tee. And I remember hearing a 308. I remember right now, absolutely giving a bootful up the road. And I said to my dad, I said, and remember, he wasn't Ferrari, he was like Jag and all sorts of things. So I said, Dad, you know what? One day, I'm going to buy a Ferrari. And he went, you know what, mate? If you work hard enough, you will. And that was the motivation to work hard. That was the motivation. My motivation wasn't to have that as a status symbol or success. It was because I was a true car person. And I saved every penny from working in my dad's factories to every school holiday, doing whatever I could to save up money. And I was lucky enough, at a pretty young age to buy my first Ferrari. I think I was 26 or something.
Wow.
And I didn't own a home though. So my first priority was buying that symbol. And that's
phenomenal. That's phenomenal. So what was the first Ferrari you bought? And if you don't mind, take me back to the actual, what happens? You obviously saved money. You worked very hard. You obviously were passionate about cars. So tell me how you went the day before you went and picked up the car. How did you feel the day before? Because you got excited, right? I can just imagine it, right? And then you go to the showroom. Tell us what car you bought, if you don't mind. And just take me back there.
Well, I want to tell you, like, my car experience isn't that salubrious. I started with a cream Mitsubishi Colt sedan. No one ever had one of those.
I remember that.
And had like 4. It was a manual with 4, and then it had high and low. So I was like, it's got 8 gears, not 4. Like, but that was everything. And I hotted that up, and then I had a race. I bought a Toyota Corolla 4AGE, one of those SX Corollas. I remember how much power that had, 100 kilowatts or something. It was like the hot hatch. So I mean, I don't want you to think that I went straight from nothing to a Ferrari. There was obviously a lot of trials and tribulations before that. But to get back to your question, actually, it's funny, I don't even think about this, and you only just bring it up now. The first time that you take delivery of anything special, people collect watches, people collect all sorts of things, whatever's important to them. It could be whatever. Yeah. It's funny how that feeling you'll never get back, no matter how many other cars you buy or toys or trinkets or whatever it meant to you. That buzz the day before, the day of and the day after. So for me, I can still feel it right now. It's funny you bring it up because it was. I remember the day before. It's like it's triple Christmas. The day before is like there's going to be 3 Christmases in one day. You know, as you're a kid, you think of Christmas the next day and that anticipation. Well, first, I remember getting the car was the Ferrari was a 355 GDS.
Wow.
And it's really interesting because I was working for another car brand.
Okay.
Not a competitor, but and it was also not a difficult thing, but I just chose. I didn't want anyone to know what was going on in my own private life, and so no one at work could know. I didn't want anyone to know, but a couple of friends. That's it, because I think it's a private thing for me.
Yep.
Anyway, so I organised for the delivery of the car to actually happen on a Sunday.
Okay.
Not in the showroom.
Yeah.
Not in a showroom. No one could ever see, and it was with the then boss of Ferrari in Australia. He was the importer, Laurie Sutton, and also another dear friend of mine, Bob Atkin, who unfortunately is no longer with us. But so Bob organised to meet me at essentially the service department at next to the showroom, and I still remember the roller door going up and seeing it there. And so there's no celebration, there's no nothing. I just like everything else was muffled. I don't even remember. He could have told me anything. I don't remember a thing that he said. I just want to get in that car and just drive it. So of course it was secret and what have you. And so as I was, creeping it over the driveway to drive out on the Pacific Highway, I was really, really conscious of, like people seeing me or what have you. And I remember getting down from Linfield, getting down to these set of lights at Chatswood, and I'm sitting at the lights and I'm trying not to, make sure no it's in it. Like I just wanted to make sure I stick in my own lane and didn't want anyone to be looking at me. So I'm looking for the radio.
Yeah.
Remember, I'm a car expert, running car brands, 26 years of age. And I got to the set of lights. I'm looking for this radio. I'm going, Jesus, where's the radio? Like, I'm pretty good with car. Like, where's the radio? So I remember driving. I couldn't find it. Anyway, I got home, parked the car, everything's safe, nothing, no damage, which was the first thing. You get really, really nervous about those things. And I called up Bob. I said, Bob, mate, where's the radio? I've just paid, more than my life away in this car. Like, where's the bloody radio?
Yeah.
And Bob goes, what do you mean? Bob, Herbie, what are you talking about? A radio? What do you want a radio in a Ferrari? The music's behind you.
Yeah.
I went, mate, I've just paid all this money. I want a radio. Because the thing is, I was so conscious of it. What do you do at a set of lights? And you don't want to look around. You don't want to look like a show pony. But you want to listen to music.
Yeah.
And so, of course, then he hit me later for probably a couple of $1,000 for another bloody CD or CD player or something. But that feeling of, firstly, that anticipation, then the exhilaration on taking delivery, which I can never replicate. As many cars and toys and things that I've had throughout my life, you could never get that special feeling again. And then I remember the feeling the day after is waking up and thinking, oh my God, it's mine. It's downstairs in my garage. Like, the feeling of that was that I can escape at any moment in time and just have absolute pleasure. Now, I know it's stupid. It's just a car. I mean, now obviously I'm a lot older now, and I don't want to like quash the dreams of everyone, but it's just a car. However, as a 26-year-old, it was everything. It was just the most incredible feeling to know, I've got this beautiful, beautiful being. I never thought of it as a thing, as a being downstairs that I can at any time escape. And that's, for me, owning, having nice cars was, of course, exhilaration. Obviously, I love racing. For me, it's about escape. It's about, at any time, no matter how bad things are going in your life, hop in your car. And as we talk about isolation at the moment, obviously this Corona, and there's no better form of self-isolation than being in your own car by yourself.
So true.
And you just get, it's about just being with you at one with whatever that is, and clear head and and you just go, okay, actually everything's okay. And going back, and then you get back into life and into the rabbit warren and what have you, and do what you got to do. But really was those, the car means a lot to people, means a lot to me. I mean, obviously I'm now out of the industry, which is, something which needed to occur after over more than 20 years, but it doesn't mean that I still don't have passion for cars.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that. I remember being in Minneapolis for a conference, for a hospitality conference called High Tech that I go to every year. And I took a day off and I went to a rental car place in LA to rent a car. And there was a 458 Ferrari in the show, in the rental area. And I just stood there and just kept looking at it. And, I was going to rent a normal car. I think I was going to rent a Range Rover, right? To get around. And
not a normal car, but yeah.
Yeah. And I asked the guy, I said, how much is it to rent that? He goes, $2.5K a day. I'm like, oh wow, that's a lot of money, a lot of money for me. And then I was with my ex-CEO and GM, my ex-GM, and he said to me, and he just looked at me and he goes, mate, look at the look on your face, like just get it, just get the car, Anyways, I did rent the car. I didn't. I was planning on renting it for a day. I ended up having it for 4 days. I did not go to the conference anymore. I did not rock up to the conference for the next 4 days. And I just drove down Malibu. I drove down, Orange County. I went to Laguna Beach. I just drove everywhere. And I just fell in love. I fell in love with this car, And it's funny you say that, but like that feeling that I got, I can't kind of replicate it again. And I never thought about that. But when I think about it, it was phenomenal because, again, for me, it wasn't about a status thing. It wasn't about showing off. It was about something that, as a kid, I loved so much, and I didn't have access to it. But when I was able to do that, experience that, it was just phenomenal. But also, it brought me so much closer to my goal because I felt it. I felt what it feels like to be in that car with the roof down, driving down, near the beach and stuff. And I came back to Australia and I bought my first car. And back then it was the 458 was getting replaced by the 488. And I bought my 488. And again, like you said, I used to sit there and I used to just look at it. Get up in the morning and just look at it and go, wow, this is not just a car. It's a piece of art, Just look at the shape and look at the grooves in this, it's just phenomenal. And it's an experience, and it doesn't matter what car it is, what brand, whatever.
I was going to say, know what it is. It doesn't, like it's. I remember how many times a week I used to wash my Toyota Corolla. Yep. Whatever it was, SX or whatever it was. Like, do you know, like, I haven't washed a car probably in my own car in 20 years. Yeah. But the love and the attention and the polishing and the detail and hotting it up and tuning it and driving it. I mean, I probably actually got more passion, more emotion out of whether it was a Mitsubishi Colt or
it doesn't matter.
Toyota Corolla, that same feeling and connection and enjoyment. I probably got probably now you think about it. Now I think about it, probably more out of the other cars.
Yeah, because you weren't worried about scratching it as much or damaging it while you're driving it either. I remember I had a Sigma station wagon, a Toyota Corona.
Tell me what's your car history? Go through them.
Okay, so first car was a Sigma station wagon, brown. I remember I paid $3,200 for it. I was quite embarrassed to take it to school because I was just 18, because all back then, VL Commodores were the thing to have. And there was there's no way up there. Turbo, VL Commodore, and we just, my parents were well off. I just had no money. So there's no chance of me having that car. So I remember I used to park it usually a couple of streets away. But slowly, because I was one of the only kids that still had a car at that stage, just I turned 18 quicker than everyone else, 17, 18 quicker than everybody else, 1 year back. And everybody wanted to get in the car with me. So we used to do chap laps in it. And he had the equalizer where we used to try and get the music system.
Oh, remember that? Spectrum analyzer.
That's it. And then I went from there, I moved up to a Toyota Corona. believe it or not, it was called Corona, which is what we're going through now.
And it was probably as deadly as the disease.
That's right.
Sorry, Toyota.
I had that, and then from that, I bought an MR2, and that was my biggest purchase. You know, a Toyota MR2 Bathurst edition. You know, again, I remember buying them at 12.5% interest rate, and begging my mum to chip in 10K so I can put a deposit on it to buy it. I was 20, 21, 22. And then from there I went to WRX. I had a massive passion for WRXs and a Maserati Grand Cabrio, and then Ferrari. And I haven't looked back. And between that, I had a couple of Porsches, and then Ferrari, and I've never looked back. Mate, tell me, you know, like I said, you know, I met you in the Singapore Grand Prix. You know, I came to the Singapore Grand Prix, and I was, you know, it's really lovely to meet you there, and we just hit it off, right? Because we just loved cars, and you were kind enough to really take me to the Ferrari family, you know, with open arms. And I remember that, like, you know, and I remember, yeah, you asked me about my background, what I did, and I just gave you a bit of a background on where I'm from, how I started my business and all that. And I remember really, really well, you turned around and said, you know, that's such a great story, and I would love to one day, you know, have you in the Ferrari magazine. And to be honest with you, I thought, yeah, whatever, full of shit. This guy's not going to do it. You know, I just met the guy. And true to your word, you know, a year or so later, I got a call from yourself or email saying, look, mate, you know, I remember talking to you, you know, back in the Singapore Grand Prix. Love to have you on the thing in the magazine. And
it's a global magazine too. So I was actually lucky to I was happy to get an Australian story or a Kiwi story in it. So yeah, mate, it was good.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, and you know, for me, the take from that for me was not to be in the magazine, and that it was about how passionate not only you were about cars. I'm getting tears in my eyes talking about it. No, but because it's coming from the heart. It was not how passionate you were about cars, but how you actually are passionate about the young people, and how, you know, entrepreneurs and young people that are upcoming entrepreneurs, and how you could, you know, you could correlate the two together in some way and open up doors and opportunities. Because what you also did for me, and you have done for many people, not just myself, many people, is you open the door to the Ferrari family, right? And I never believed in car clubs. I thought it was a total wank. I'm like, what do people do? Drive around all day and talk about cars? I don't know, you know. But when you introduced me and my family, not just myself, to the Ferrari family, oh, wait, mate, I've met and made friends, lifetime friends now out of that. I've met the most beautiful, humble people. You know, and I've been, you know, we went on the 70th anniversary of Ferrari. You know, I've done a couple of other trips, and it's just phenomenal. And, you know, it's what I'm trying to get across. It's not just a car. It's way more than a car, right? It is a family. And you were, you know, you were the catalyst. You were the guy that made all these things happen. That said, also, you know, I'd really like to know, how did you, you know, you were the CEO of, you know, Ferrari Australasia. I would love to know a little bit about your journey in terms of how you got into Ferrari and how you, you know, worked your way up and became the CEO. And, you know, just a bit of background on that, if you don't mind.
So mate, straight out of uni, I was, that's funny actually. It's funny you said this, because I was picked up. I was approached by a headhunter straight out of university who was filling 4 roles which were being sponsored by the Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries, and they wanted straight out of university graduates, and the Federal Chamber wanted to essentially kind of change the management structure or the future of the car industry. So traditionally, the heads of the car companies usually went through the retail network, sales, and what have you, and all the way up to running and owning dealerships, then work for manufacturer, then work up to be head of brand. And they want to do something different, which was to start with skill set base, with education. Not that the past was wrong, but it was just that they wanted to do different thing. I think there's 3,000 or 4,000 kids that went for these roles. It was 4 roles, and luckily, you know, out of the 4,000, I was one of them, and my assignment was with Volkswagen and Audi Australia. So I started as a management trainee, whereby I had to for Volkswagen Australia out at Wetherill Park. If anyone's listening from Sydney, know how far away that is. It was a long drive from me every day, and it was dream job. I was on the inside. As a car person, now to work in the industry, and what I had to do was supposed to be a 2-year traineeship and go through every single aspect of the industry, from working in the warehouse. I mean, obviously a management and marketing specialist, but you have to work in the warehouse doing parts, and then you ran the parts department, the logistics department of the vehicle distribution, then running that, and then in after sales and sales and marketing, finance, working at retail level. And I was supposed to be for 2 years, and it was exactly the same management traineeship that my old man gave me, actually, with my family company, which was just work from the bottom up, work from the shop floor, really. And I'd been doing that since the age of 7, so I had obviously a bit of an advantage there, that I'd do anything that needed to be done. And what that did was give me a really good balance and idea of what the industry is about, from all aspects of the industry, from a parts interpreter to CEO. I kind of had a really good understanding of what every decision and everyone felt, but most importantly, it gave me a clear focus of what the most important thing is, which is not about your office, not about your job title, not about, your career movement. It's about the customer.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's rang true also at Ferrari. I was a customer before I actually worked for the company. So anyway, that was supposed to be for 2 years. After 6 months, I was lucky enough that they said, okay, clearly we're going to fast track this. And so then I became vehicle distribution. Then I was national dealer manager, then in marketing. And then I got headhunted to go across to be part of the first team to start up Jeep in Australia.
Oh, wow.
No one knew. Everyone knew the brand, the Jeep brand from the old Willie World War II sort of thing. So I was part of the management team. I had the most incredible CEO, CK Liu, who unfortunately is no longer with us. Just an incredible man, took me under his wing, and I was part of that team that was immediately successful. It was just an incredible company to work for, great team. And then from there, so I ran Eastern Seaboard. I was GM for that, and then we pitched to get the Audi distribution from my old company, and I became GM of Audi, and I was 25, I think, running that, and I just was burnt out, just completely destroyed. Like yourself, and probably like a lot of people who are listening. Because I love what I did, I was working 20 hours a day.
Wow.
To do whatever I could, for all about results. And obviously I was really successful, and the brands were successful, and I said, that's it, I'm Fokker out.
Wow.
And I just wanted to take a break.
Yeah.
And I still had a really, really good relationship with CK Liu, and he said, look, just don't make any rash decision, have a break, and please come back, and whatever role you want. I said, thanks, I just need to have a break.
Yeah.
As I was literally, obviously I gave a long notice so I could replace myself. And the day that I was leaving, as I was driving home, I got a phone call from, I'm not sure if it was from Laurie or from Bob Atkin, but Bob Atkin and Laurie Sutton, the Sutton Group, who are a huge organisation, and kind of legends in the automotive industry, and Bob Atkin, who started Scuderia Veloce Motors and was part of the race team, the Ferrari race team back in the 50s and 60s. He called me, and he was my, I appointed him as a Jeep dealer. So essentially, this was the same guy that delivered the Ferrari to me when I was 26.
Yeah.
So he said, look, we're currently the importer for Ferrari, and we'd like to become the importer for Maserati, and we'd like you to head up the company. And I'm just going, I've just left the job, a great job, and said, I want a break. I just want to do nothing. Actually, all I wanted to do was just travel and just watch Grand Prix. And so here I was in this real difficult decision going, look, I'm literally driving home from a job that I love to give myself a break because I was just absolutely knackered, and completely put everything at risk. My livelihood, my career, everything on hold just to look up, just because I knew I just was done. So I said, look, give me a month.
Yep.
I'll write you a business plan.
Yep.
If you and Laurie and Sir Frederick Sutton, which is Laurie's dad, if you accept the business plan, then we can talk further. So of course I've got home and straight away I'm writing the business plan. So I'm not waiting a month. Okay. I can create a car company in Australia from scratch. And in those days, Maserati was doing 2 or 3 cars a year in Australia.
Wow.
What a great opportunity for a 26, 27-year-old to essentially head up a company, but create it from scratch.
Wow.
And Maserati was actually a brand in those days where it would have been better to be the CEO of Proton or what other brand you can think of, because it had so much negative connotation. It was just, obviously, it wasn't regarded as being the best product and didn't really have any presence. And so essentially I pitched it. Yeah, great. Came on board. And then, so I started, Maserati. It all didn't start. I took over Maserati in Australia from a wonderful guy, probably one of the most passionate salespeople ever, Tony Graziani, up here in Sydney. He was, doing it all himself, doing the best he could, but the most incredibly passionate man. He was the importer and dealer. And I remember meeting him and everyone was telling me, look, you just got to get rid of this guy. He's got no process. He doesn't understand. I met with him and just felt his enthusiasm, felt his passion. He was almost he would have been double my age. Yeah. When this guy is just, what a guy, just passion alone is enough. So then with him, I appointed him the New South Wales dealer and then went around and built a company. Didn't have a desk, didn't have a computer, and took that company from 3 cars a year to 150 cars a year and relaunched Maserati in this market. But obviously being a pretty determined and driven guy, obviously I want to do more. So then after quite a few years, the factory was trying to get me to go to Italy. Yep. And it was at the right time, right moment in my life. Yep. So I said yes. So actually I went across to Italy to be global head of marketing. Yeah. So then I had the chance I had an incredible leader, Karl-Heinz Karpfel. Again, another guy that's no longer with us, but a legend in our industry. He was the guy that created M for BMW. He created the new Mini. He created the new the new Rolls Royce. An incredible manager, but a CEO who's a marketing guy. And he flew me across to, I met him at Goodwood Festival of Speed. And he interviewed me and said why I should go across to Maserati and what we could do together. He was German, I was Australian, and for the two of us to kind of change the future of this legendary Italian company. Yeah. So I agreed and spent 4 or 5 years in Italy, essentially completely rebranding, separating Maserati from Ferrari, building all new teams around the world, marketing teams around the world, setting up all the new product lineups, which you're still seeing today, to running the race team and winning 2 or 3 FIA World Championships with the MC12, to Maserati Trofeo. Just had the greatest time of my life, worked extremely hard, but again, came to a point of time at a personal toll, obviously, and decided, hey, that's it, I'm coming back to Australia, and so I went on a sabbatical and came back to Oz, and then not long after, of course, I missed the industry, missed the buzz, and then the then CEO of Ferrari, Amedeo Felisa, asked to have a chat to me one time. He was in Australia and said, we want you back on board within the company, but on the other side of the company, on the Ferrari brand. Yeah. What do you say? Like the same thing, passion, bugger my health, bugger everything. Yeah. It's a great opportunity. I don't care. And so that's when the career with, well, actually before that, even when I was with the local distribution here, I also took over the Ferrari distribution here. So before I moved to Italy with Maserati, I was also doing Ferrari here. Yeah. But then went to obviously went to Italy, then I moved to Japan and Shanghai and then Australia, blah, blah, blah. This is
Wow.
history.
You know, one of the things that I took away amongst a lot of things from that was that, you know, you had people that you looked up to, and, you know, and what you looked for was also people that had passion. You know, you mentioned in the couple of people there in the conversation that, you know, that you just, like, they might have not had the right systems or stuff in place, but they had the passion. And that is powerful. You know, for me, you know, it's the passion that pushes you. It's the passion that wakes you up in the morning, right? When I wake up in the morning, it's like, wow, I've got things. You have to have it, right? Because without that, what are you chasing? What are you chasing, right? Because, you know, money and all that you can get, and you can, you know, buy things, but that's not passion. It's not. The passion is that, like, you know,
you got to wake.
You know, exactly like what you just said.
You got to wake up in the morning.
Yeah, and like what you said, you know,
every morning I wake up and I hop in the shower, wash myself, dry myself, and I put my boxing gloves on, ready to fight for the brand, for the customer, for whatever it is. And that's the passion. I just got it inside me. Obviously, I'm lucky enough to have it obviously from the DNA. And equally so, when you don't have that passion, you know it's time to do other things. And that's exactly obviously, you know, where I'm at now. Not that I don't have passion for it, but I've done everything. I did everything. Met incredible people like yourself. I always say that, you know, clients became friends and friends became clients. And that was all about bringing everyone inside the family. And then I was really privileged, and I'll always look back at, you know, that career and the people. It's about the people. It's not about the cars. I mean, the people that I met and continue to meet because of that, and the doors, as you say, doors that open, have just been. I'm so lucky to have met really interesting people. I remember, obviously we did lots of events when I was with that brand and brands before, and people who were not within the Ferrari family, we'd invite them to special events like a Spidenza Ferrari and all these sort of things. And people were hesitant from other brands, hesitant to come to Ferrari events because they think, I'm not sure about Ferrari people, you know, egotistical or too showy or flashy or what have you. And out of every single event, we used to have this Spidenza Ferrari where it'd be 5 couples at a time for a 24-hour experience with just us, hosted by me. And you know that, as I used to say to everyone at the start, I used to welcome everyone, and I said, look, my goal here for this next 24 hours, not only to put smiles on your faces, but for you to find long-term friends. And you'd be so surprised. These people who are in there going, oh, I'm not sure about these people and what have you. By the end of the day, end of the night, when we're all sharing dinner, the amount of fun, laughter, and long-term friends, genuine friends that these people became is, and these are smart people who are protective people who are probably not kind of resistant to bring new people on into their friendship circles. It's been amazing. It's probably one of my legacies out of that is hopefully people like you and, you know, quite a few thousand of customers have been able to find friends out of something you probably would never have come across these people ever in your lives.
100%. You know, one of the things that I found about you, Herbert, was that you were so approachable. You know, as a, you know, I think I was 36, something like that, when I got my first Ferrari, and I remember.
So old.
Yeah. Compared to you, was it?
No, I mean, you're very young.
But thank you, mate. But like, you know, I remember, like, I'm not gonna lie, going to my first Ferrari event was daunting. You know, in my mind, so I was coming, and then the CEO of Ferrari, wow, you know, it'll be so standoffish, you know, because you have this kind of thing in your mind, perception. And I tell you what, mate, you know, I love the brand, but I never loved the brand as much as I did after meeting you, and that's the honest truth, because you were so approachable. Nice. You were just a human, like you were just a normal person.
I'm a customer.
Yeah, you're just a normal person, and you took everybody in, and that for me, amongst other things, that's your legacy for me, is that what you did was in terms of bringing people together and creating friendships that would have never happened if it wasn't because of you. And that's the honest truth. That said, I want to bring something else up. So my show has been mainly about a lot of entrepreneurs that have started from nothing. You know, they've had really hard growing up, they've never had, money and all that kind of stuff. And one of the things that comes up a lot is that people that are, self-entitled, or people that come from families that have, wealth and all that, and, they don't work as hard and all that kind of stuff. I understand that, your parents, your grandparents and that were involved in aeroplane jelly. My understanding is it was one of the things that, they created aeroplane jelly. They were the ones that, they did that. But, and I'll allow you to elaborate on that and tell us a little bit more about that. But what was fascinating for me again was that here's a human being that really didn't have to do what he did. But he, again, and I keep going back to this, you were so passionate, you were so driven, even though, you had access to certain things and all that, and came from a very well privileged background, you worked so hard. You worked so hard. You didn't take it for granted. You worked hard, if not harder than what other people normally would, that don't have any of those things. And I want to know where that came from. Obviously, it was a passion, but what, tell us a little bit about that and what made you be so driven.
Well, it's nice of you to say that. But for me, you're a kid. You don't know until you reflect. I mean, everyone is exactly the same. I don't even for working for whatever car company, you can have 100 Ferraris or one Ferrari or a Ferrari cat. Everyone is exactly the same. Everyone is equal. I don't give up.
It's true. My dad said,
I don't care. I don't care.
My dad, you're right. My dad said every man puts his pants on one leg at a time in the morning. So
yeah, absolutely. And because you come from privilege or you don't come from privilege, it's no different. I didn't know I was from a wealthy family. I just thought I came from a normal family, and I suppose that's what good parenting does.
Yeah.
So I didn't grow up with. I mean, my dad had lovely cars. My mum had a Cortina. I didn't know anything. I was the one from the factory at 7 for 7 years of age, is because I knew that if I could collect my $1.50 an hour, then I could buy this and buy that and buy that. It might be a car magazine, whatever. So it's in my DNA. My parents obviously were pretty. I've had pretty tough parents, like strong and determined parents. But yeah, the drive comes from just being human. I mean, everyone can lose it right now. Think about it. And you know what? Out of this whole Corona thing,
yeah, tell me.
What the amazing thing about this is everyone's fucking getting it again. It's about the basics. It doesn't matter how many cars you got in your driveway. It doesn't matter how big your house is, what have you. Everyone is equal. We're all human. Boris Johnson. Who doesn't matter who you are, you can all get it. We're all vulnerable. Yeah. And so the great thing about, and not the great thing, it's an awful thing to say, but what's interesting out of this is that people are going home, they're cooking, they're spending time with their family. I've been homeschooling my kid for 3 weeks, my 6-year-old daughter for 6 weeks. I'm now actually understanding how much she understands, learns, how smart she is, what I need to work on, being not only a parent, but also a teacher. What chance have we ever had before where we actually can really know about our kids? Or now all of a sudden I'm cooking and I'm excited when I get a slow cooker from JB Hi-Fi arrive, because I'm like, who would ever thought this stuff?
Yeah.
So we're all human and we're all as vulnerable as the next person. And I always thought that, and I always knew that a title's a title. As soon as you leave, no one really cares except the genuine people. And genuine people like yourself, we're still in contact. With so many people. But my drive is a little bit different. I'm just a very, 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 very competitive person, whether it's in sport.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
School, at uni, I always wanted to be number one. And, that's a problem in itself too, because you get a little bit older, you go, well, actually, who am I trying to impress? I don't know. But I wanted to be number one. Didn't matter what brand or how successful it already was, I wanted to smash records. And it wasn't how much money I could take home. It was just, success and doing new things, and I don't know. It's inside me. I don't know.
I think it's more about you wanted to get the best out of yourself. You know, for me, I always say, for me, it's not about any of that stuff, except it's about, for me, it's about, I know what I'm capable of, and I'm going to achieve the best I can as a human with my own limits, but I'm going to achieve the best I can. I'm going to bring that out the best I can. If I'll do something, it's all or nothing. I'm not going to do it half-assed. I'm going to give it my best shot.
Yeah.
You know, so, mate.
Absolutely agree. I can't do, as I've always said, I can never do 80%. I can't do 90%. If I can't put 150% in, and if I'm not super hungry when I wake up in the morning and want to race to work, then I know it's time for life change. And I think that's, no matter where you come from, you gotta. We're all the same.
Yeah, mate. I want to sit and speak to you for hours, but I know you got things to do. So I'm going to ask a couple of quick questions from you. All right. Favorite car, ultimate car, favorite ultimate car ever.
F40.
F40. Okay. Tell me your favorite destination that you've traveled a lot. Your favorite destination.
It's so funny you ask that.
Coming up with this question.
It's so simple. It's not, you can imagine I've been very privileged and I've gone to everywhere imaginable, all the fancy places and wah. Actually, I love Hawaii, and that's mainly because my family went there every year for Christmas and New Year's every year. So it has a smell in the air, it has a feeling, has a sensation. And it's such a simple destination, but for me, probably it's the most beautiful one for me.
There you go. And also, what I want to know is, what are your thoughts about, Ferrari going electric? And I know, De La Ferrari has some, thing, but what are your thoughts on that? Because personally, and I'm going to tell you my opinion, I'm struggling with it. Yeah. I'm really struggling with it. But at the same time, I'm always about adapting and changing and moving forward. But I'm really struggling with it, to be honest. I put a deposit on SF90, and then, mate, I tell you what, it's a very beautiful car. I love it. But, oh, man, I'm still I'm struggling a little bit with it. And I don't want to be controversial or anything. I just want to know your personal opinion. What are your
controversial? No. Well, with the company, so the first time in my life, I can actually say what I think. Look, I think you got to step back a bit and think. I remember the days where as Jeremy Clarkson used to call it, the flappy pedal gearbox. I remember the controversy that caused, and everyone was against it, and all the traditionalists go, no, it hasn't got the stick gate. Do you think about the flappy pedal gearbox anymore? I mean, there's people that still would love to have a stick shift with that famous metal gate, but you don't think about it anymore. It was such a controversial thing. That's Ferrari, but it's about, I think, companies. No company is big enough or too big to continue to deny technology. There's a lot of strengths out of technology from a technical point of view. Forget about the ecological stuff, because that's not really where that brand. What's not the reasoning behind that? But actually, it's a smart technology, because combustion engine has high torque high power at high RPM, but you also need torque, and electrification creates torque at low RPM, and then horsepower from a combustion engine creates power at higher RPM. So you don't have this lag. So if you have great down a low RPM torque from an electric engine and really high power from a combustion engine, you put those two together and you can have fun. And I think, if the guys do the right thing in the future, it doesn't matter what's propelling it, as long as it has the same emotions that I had when I was in my 355. It's about the smell of the leather. It's about it looking beautiful. It's about the fun behind the steering wheel. If it's got those emotions, it doesn't matter what the technology is in it. It doesn't matter if it's a flappy pedal gearbox. I would always hope that there's a combustion engine somehow connected to whatever is the other form of power. But it's not just Ferrari. I think there's a lot of other smart car companies out there that have proven that you can do good things for ecology. And I think what Ferrari could probably do is also do good for the fun factor. And so long as the engineers are there, the world's best engineers are there. Porsche are doing it and doing a very good job. I haven't driven the Taycan yet, but I look forward to driving that. And obviously, I've driven a lot of electric products from Tesla, etc. and I'm fascinated by, whether it's electric, whether it's hydrogen, whether it's something we never thought of yet. I think we need to be open to technology so long as it's in tune with the brand. And I think fun and how it makes you feel on the inside, so long as it has that, I think it's a winner.
I totally agree with you. Tell me, my final question for you, for the upcoming young entrepreneurs out there. You've had a fascinating journey, mate. I've known you for many years, and, just listening to you again about, your journey. And I actually found a lot about you that I wasn't aware of till today, which even fascinates me even more. So, what is your advice to those guys, to the guys and girls that are upcoming entrepreneurs that are, starting the journey or struggling with the journey? What is your advice? What do you say to them?
There's a few things. Determination. Do not give up. There's going to be so many roadblocks. There's going to be so many haters. There's going to be so many determined. Be innovative. Think of things different. Don't be afraid to look at other people's ideas, but innovate. Create something new for the market that people haven't done. Don't just simply copy and steal people's ideas. Fight for what you believe in. The passion is absolutely important. Another is, don't get involved in politics. If you're in some form of corporate, do not get involved in politics, because you're going to get burnt at some time. You're going to get hurt. Just rest on your performance. Keep your head down. Stick to your lane. Don't get involved in messy things like that.
Yeah.
Remember the people on the way up, because I'll remember you on the way down.
Yeah.
Just fight like hell. Go for it.
Yeah.
Like, world's a wonderful place, and you can have all the talent in the world, but if you don't use it, then you're just another casualty. So whatever it is in life, give passion, be honest, work like hell.
I totally agree, man. So well said. And that's what it's all about. If you could have all the talent in the world, but if you do nothing with it, you've basically totally wasted your time. And I find this world as a playground. Go out there and create your dreams, make your dreams come true, and live your life like it's your last day, and do what you want to do, and be happy. That said, mate, what a great chat. I keep going on about it. It's been such a wonderful journey for me to have met you many years ago and to be friends now. And I really, really want to say thank you for sharing the love as you have over the years, but also for sharing your experience and putting, and spending time to speak with me today, because the whole point of this show is to share our experiences with other people, upcoming entrepreneurs, but even people that are older that are, they want to set their own dreams and set their own goals. So I really appreciate you making the time, and thank you for coming on the show. And for everyone, hopefully we'll be up in the next couple of weeks on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. So please tune in, listen to the show, and thank you again. And I'll look forward to catching up with you soon.
Mate, to you and to everyone who's listening, mate, stay safe. These unprecedented times. We just got to look after each other as one community now. So, mate, keep well and speak soon, buddy.
Thanks, mate. God bless.